when we take an overview of Indian economy, we will want to talk about, first of all, the financial system. Then we will talk about the capital market, which is there. We will also talk about the industry area, and we will talk about agriculture. So these are some of the key areas that we will be talking about in today's class. Hopefully, we should be able to get an overview of this. If some portions is left, I will continue it to tomorrow's class. Okay. So when we come to it, first of all, we want to start with the Indian financial system. So, if you remember in the last class, we had talked a lot about something which is called as capital formation. I said when I had talked about the vicious circle of poverty and how things differ, we say that it is because of lack of capital formation. So, what do you mean actually by capital formation? It basically is an increment or addition to the existing stock of real capital available in the country. Okay. So when we talk about capital formation, is what are you doing to increase it? Now there are two types of capital that we talk about. One is the physical capital, and the second is the human capital. So, for example, in the physical capital, we will take into consideration all the tools and techniques, appliances, how latest can it be. So, whatever is new is what we are going to take in when we are talking about physical capital. Whereas when we are talking about human capital, we are talking about human resources. Now, human resources also, if you are able to bring about capital, you'll find, if you're able to develop the human resources in a best possible manner, you will find that a lot of capital formation takes place. For example, if in your country you have unskilled labor, okay, people who are not doing any work and who have no skills, who are not educated, naturally the capital formation will be low. Even if you have the best of machines, if your human capital is not developed, means people are not educated enough to use a laptop. To use a laptop, at least everybody should know how to know about the alphabets of English, should know how to type in something, should know the English language. So we'll say that if the human capital is not there, you can buy a lot of things, but you will not be able to use it. So that is why it becomes a very important step when we talk about human capital. And not only do we need to develop the physical capital, that means the tools, technology, equipments which are being used in a country, we also need to focus on developing human capital. Earlier, many times people used to think that if you the best of machines, then automatically you will find that production will be good. But then there was a certain stage where they said that okay, the best of capital is also not able to give you something unless you have good human capital. So human capital became a very, very important part of capital formation. So these are the two things which are there in capital formation. Now, what are the core components of capital formation? These are saving and investment. So, whenever we talk about capital formation, we are very, very interested in knowing about these two things. That what is the saving? Are we able to increase savings? Initially, also we talked about how savings in a in an economy is absolutely essential. Without saving, there cannot be capital formation. There cannot be growth in the economy. You will still stay in traditional stages of economy unless you really focus and try to bring about more amount of savings in the economy. So saving is a very, very important first step. Now, how are you saving? That also I'll come to when we talk about the banking system, because in India many times, or we would like to have a discussion if it is same in your country also. You'll find that many times saving is there, but the saving does not reach the bank. And if the saving does not reach the bank, then it will not lead to further investment. So that's why these two are the core components of capital formation. Now we come to the main factors affecting capital formation. So, what are the main things which will affect capital formation? The first among this is income levels of the poor, of the people. So, if you have too much gap between the rich and the poor, and majority of the people work in agriculture, are not earning enough money, are just earning enough to manage themselves, naturally capital formation will be very low. But if you have more equitable distribution, people having enough of money, uh, having higher standards of living, naturally capital formation will be more, because these people have surplus money. When they have surplus money, they will try to put in this money into further production. They would like to invest in different areas. Even after the basic needs of food, hunger, clothing, housing are satisfied, they will have money, so naturally they will save. Okay, if a person is just earning maybe $10, how will the person save? But the person is earning $5,000, naturally the person might be able to save quite a bit. So we say that as your income increases from 5,000 to 10,000 to $50,000, you will find that the saving will increase. When the saving increases, the investment in the country will increase. The next is institutional factors. Okay, what are the institutional factors? Institutional factors are things like, do we have enough of banks? Okay, do we have enough of financial intermediaries? Do we have enough of banks everywhere? Like in India, there might be villages where there is no bank. So the institution, even if I want to save, there is no bank. So where do I put my money? So that is a problem in many areas in India. Similarly, you might have, what is the kind of monetary and fiscal policy of a country? Is the monetary and fiscal policy good? Is it promoting interest? Like yesterday, I think one of you commented that even if the government is trying very hard, still inflation is not going down. So you find that whether it is a good system of the government or not. So these all things will need to be worked on. So these are all the institutional factors which affect capital formation. So I'm just showing this to all of you who came in late, and I'll just pause for 1 minute if anybody wants to write it down. I've come to this portion because without understanding the importance of capital formation, we can't go into financial system, because the financial system is made for capital formation. Okay. Can I continue now? Yes. Okay. So after this, we come to the main topic for today, that is called as your financial systems. Okay. So when we talk about financial systems, first of all, we should understand what do you mean by the financial system. So basically, it consists of a set of institutions, instruments, and markets, which build together to make the financial system of any economy. So all these things will work together, and then only you will get the financial system of an economy or of a country. Okay, what is the main objective of this? Why do you want this? Anyone? What will be the main objective of a financial system? Why should you have a good financial system? Anybody? Would you like to write in the chat box? Why do you think you need a good and strong financial system? Basically, it is to mobilize savings. Yeah, yeah. So it is basically to mobilize or channelize savings. So that is the main objective of the financial system which we talk about. Yeah, yeah, Jafar, that's a correct answer. I've seen it already. So yes, uh, Magaji, have you raised your hand? Anything you want to ask? So, who are the two main players of this? So, if you talk about a financial system, we say that you have lenders. Those are the people who want to save. Okay, so they give you the savings. Then you have the financial system, which manages this saving and gives it to the borrowers. So this is loan to the borrowers. Now, what do these borrowers do? They take this money and they invest it in different areas and lead it to capital formation. So basically, the lenders which you have come from different households or individuals. So these are the different lenders that we are actually talking about. So the basic savings is coming from the lenders. It is coming to the financial systems, that is the banking system, the mutual funds, bonds, debentures. All these will be the instruments. We'll come down to that later. And then it goes as loans and it goes to the various borrowers. So that is the whole entire system and the working of the entire system. Okay. Now we come to a very important thing. What is the basic structure of the money market? And please remember that we are talking with reference to India. So if your structure is different, so please go ahead and let me know what are the different instruments which are used in your system. I will discuss a few of them and you can tell me the others or how different it is in your country. Okay. So the first thing that we talk about is when we talk about instruments of money market, the first instrument that we talk about is call market or notice market. So this is the first kind of system that we say, where we say it is money at call, or it is also called as overnight market. What does that mean? When you loan funds for a single day, then it is called as call market. So if you're lending money for one single day, okay, then it will come as call market, or it was also called as an overnight market. So suppose you think that a vendor is supposed to pay you by evening, but you need to pay another person now. So what will you do? You'll say that can I borrow these funds now, and I will repay it back by evening 5 o'clock. So that in that same day, what you're doing is you're taking money in the morning and you're returning it by evening, or maximum by the next day. So it is on demand, means anytime the person in that day can say that please give back the money. Okay, so that is called as overnight money. Notice market is market where you've got up to 15 days time to return the money. So this has a longer duration, and for these kind of money instruments, there is no security required. Means you don't have to give any collateral for this kind of money market. It is okay that you take the fund, and you are given a time period of 15 days within which you have to compulsorily return this money. And naturally the interest rates will be high only because it's a short period thing, and if they're giving you money on such short notice, naturally they will be charging a higher rate of uh, interest. The second thing that we have over here is called as the commercial papers. Okay, and this commercial papers is called as CP. Okay, as such, the short form is called as CP. Now, these are instruments which are given by companies. Okay, so different companies give you this particular paper. So it is given by companies, and it is again for a very short period of time. So if you want a debt which is for maximum 1 year, okay, max of 1 year, then you will take something which is called as a commercial paper. So if you see, as individuals, we will not go and get a commercial paper. Normally we will go to the banks and take a loan, but within a company, if people want some kind of loans, or other companies want different kinds of loans, then we will go into this kind of thing. So here we say minimum you have to put 5 lakh, and then you can have 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 30 lakh. So like that, you can have different amounts which you take as loan for this short period. Now, suppose in the middle of this 1 year, you have taken the loan, and you know, suppose the company says that I don't want to keep this loan, it can sell this commercial paper to somebody else. So if I want, as a company, I can sell this commercial paper to somebody else and take that money from them. So I'll say this paper is worth, this document is worth 5 lakh rupees, and after maybe 6 months, the interest will be, I was supposed to get maybe 50,000 rupees as interest, but you give me 10,000 rupees in interest, and I will sell this paper to you. That also is possible. So when you return the loan, return the loan to the person who has taken the other, who has bought the commercial paper. So it is a little different way of functioning from the usual systems that we talk about. Okay. Then after this, you have the treasury bills. Now, treasury bills are maybe one of the most solid borrowing instruments, because they are given by the government of India. Okay, so they also give you short term borrowing, and they normally tell you it is 91 days. It can be for a period of 182 days, and it can also be for a period of 364 days. Okay, then they can also tell you that where you can auction it. So suppose you are taking a loan from, you are lending money to somebody, and the person gives you a treasury bill which is signed, undersigned by the government of India. Now, RBI will put out certain dates. The Apex Bank of India is Reserve Bank of India. So it will put out an auction date, that on this particular date, treasury bills are being auctioned. So you can go there, and you can give this treasury bill. The amount will be written, what is the rate of interest which is expected will be written. But naturally, you are trying to sell it off in the middle, so you're not going to get the whole rate of interest which was supposed to come to you. So you will get it at a discounted rate, a little lesser amount of money. So by chance, if there is a requirement for you to get money, then you will try to use this instrument. Otherwise, you will keep it for the whole time period, and later try to say that, okay, let me get it back from this person only. So it is up to you. If you want, you can auction it or sell it, and there's nobody who will not buy it, because it's a treasury bill. So it has very high credibility, it has very high liquidity. Easily it can be bought and sold. Okay, so even if the money is being deposited in a particular place, the money will go to the person who has bought the treasury bill. Then you have something which is called as the commercial bill. Okay, so you have the commercial bills market. And this is bills of exchange. That means you write a note which says that I promise to pay this person the amount of 50,000 rupees on a particular date. So what you are doing is you are promising that a certain amount of fund will be refunded to the person or paid back to a person on a particular date or particular time. That is called as the commercial bill. Okay, now it is in there will be the name of the issuer, it will be the name of the person who is taking the loan. Then there is a promise written that like an IOU, that I am going to give this fund back to this person on this particular date. So everything is written very clearly over here, and again it is a good instrument which is used by many of the people in the banking sector. Okay, and next we come to is called as the certificate of deposit. What is a certificate of deposit? These are when you deposit a certain sum of money in a bank for a period of a year. Okay, so you have a period of a year, and in that period you deposit a certain sum of money, and at a fixed rate of exchange. Like we have something which is called as Vikas Patras. I don't know whether you have those things. That's why I said I will ask you to tell me if you have the similar instruments. So here what happens is, suppose you want to invest some amount of 10 lakh rupees. So you buy this particular certificate of deposit for 10 lakh rupees. So they say we are going to pay you, your money will become double in 12 years. So they give you a paper, and in this it is written that this much amount is 10 lakh rupees is deposited in Kisan Vikas Patra for a period of 12 years, and the money will double in 12 years. Now suppose in the 6th year you have your daughter's wedding, or you decide to go abroad and study, or you want to buy a new house. Now you require the money suddenly. So what do is you can either go back to the bank and tell them that, "Okay, I don't want the additional rate of interest, which they will not give you, but you want the money under certain conditions, they will give it." But suppose one of your friends says, "Okay, you want a loan? No, fine, I'll give it to you. You give me that letter." So that paper you can actually transfer to your friend or to anybody else. So that person, after the time duration is over, can go and collect the money from the bank. Okay, so that is called as a certificate of deposit. And the last, I think all of us are very, very aware of in today's date, that is called as the money market mutual funds. So it's basically the mutual funds which we talk about, and it is in India, it is regulated by SEBI. Okay, so it's a very important stock exchange of India. So it is regulated by the stock exchange of India, and mutual funds are, they are professionally managed. So you have a lot of portfolio management people, or investment management managers, or wealth managers who look into your fund. So you decide that, okay, I want some 20,000 rupees going in mutual funds. They will tell you, they will ask you if you want a high risk fund, or a low risk fund, or a medium risk fund. Accordingly, they will be putting your money into many different agencies from where you are going to get your returns. So these are all the different kind of instruments which we follow in India. Now, I would like to know if you have the same kind. Do you have the same kind of instruments, or if you have any other kind of instrument, would you like to tell me about it? Yes, Khalid, would you like to tell me? I can see your
Yeah,
hand raised. Yes, please
yeah.
tell me.
Good evening, Doc.
Yeah,
Uh,
please tell me.
yeah, I think in Nigeria, because I'm from Nigeria, in
Yes.
Nigeria we have all these instruments. But
Okay.
however, my concern is on these treasury bills.
Okay.
I've seen that you have written 91 days, 182 days, as well as
Hmm.
364 days. But
Yes.
in Nigeria, the maximum duration is 91 days.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I'd written over here, that what happens is that many times it depends on the structure of the country. Like yesterday, when we read about inflation and we were talking about how to manage inflation and all. So many times these time durations and the auction periods change according to the need of the country. So that's why what happens is, it's not that if I've written 91 days, it's going to be 91 days only, or 182 2 days only. According to the environment of the country, the RBI can take decisions on the auction date. So if they feel that 91 days is enough, they will have the auctions on 91 days. But sometimes if the economy is going through recession, if there are problems, if there's too much inflation, then accordingly you'll bring about the changes. Yes. Okay, Nelson. So you have all these instruments in Zambia. Do you have any other instruments also which you know of, or you would like to share? For example, I would like to know if you have this certificate of deposit, and what is it called in your country? Yes, yes, please tell me, Khalid. Sorry, I'm drinking some water, I'm a little thirsty. Yeah.
Yeah, we equally have this certificate of deposit. It's equally called certificate of deposit, CDS.
Okay, so it is only
Yeah,
called CDS. You don't
yeah,
have a specific name for it,
yeah.
depending on
That's just the name.
taxation, or depending on what kind of scheme it is. Does it change according to that?
No, it doesn't change. That's the name.
Okay, okay, okay.
But I
Anybody
want to
else?
ask, Doc,
Yeah, yeah.
can
Please
I
tell me.
ask, can
Yes,
I ask?
yes, sure, sure. Please go ahead.
Okay. What's the difference between commercial papers and commercial bills, Doc?
See, commercial papers are generally for a very short duration of time, whereas commercial bills are there for a longer. It's basically when we talk about the time duration that we are talking about. When we talk about commercial papers and commercial bills, we main difference is the time duration. Commercial papers will be very short term. They will not be there for a longer period of time. Okay, so if you want a short term debt, then you will be using commercial papers. But promissory bills can be for a much longer duration. Okay, so it can be maybe even for 2 years, 3 years, but commercial papers will be minimum 7 days, maximum 1 year. 1 year. The time duration is very short for commercial papers. Okay. Yeah, Nelson. Okay. Fixed deposit, Nelson. When we talk about fixed deposit, we are talking about more the money market, which the banking system. So I will come to the banking system after this. Yes, Mike, you would like to say something here?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Yeah,
you.
please tell me. Hmm.
Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
Can you speak louder? I can't hear you.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes. Good evening.
Good
Yes.
evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. I'm seeing here we are studying about treasury bills, commercial bills, market certificate of deposit.
Hmm.
I had of fixed deposits. I
Hmm.
would like to know why are we studying these things here? Because I have an experience where I worked in a bank
Hmm.
sometime
Hmm.
and we used to give treasury bills and we
Hmm.
used to also make fixed deposits and we also used to give certificates of deposits.
Hmm.
So in relation to what we are studying, I would like to understand why we are studying these things.
See, your paper by itself is a very overview kind of paper. For example, we are trying to study the business environment, and we are trying to study the business environment in relation to Indian economy. Okay, so that's why what we are doing is we are trying to study all the different sectors which are related in Indian economy. So any business firm will be impacted by the financial market. Okay, ultimately if you are a firm and you have to sustain yourself, you have to deal with the money market of the country, you have to deal with the financial market of the country, and that's why we are trying to understand what are the different instruments which are there in the market. That's the whole point. That's why I said that we will talk about the industrial policy, the agricultural policy, the money market, the monetary fiscal policies. All these will come under business environment, because we need to understand how the environment is. If we don't understand the environment, we cannot function well as a firm. So that is the reason behind it. Okay. Yeah, Jafar, okay, what you've written is, uh, in Nigeria, we have fixed deposit certificates issued by banks as you deposit money for a fixed period. Now, please understand, when we talk about fixed deposit, we will talk about the banking system. I will come to the banking system later. Currently, we are talking about the money market. We will also talk about the capital market, and we will also talk about the banking system. So there are little differences when we talk about all the three systems. The way that they function will be different. So after this, I will be drawing a general overview and talking to you about the banking structure in India. Okay, so basically here is the capital market structure of India and the different kinds of instruments, financial instruments, which are used in the market. Okay. Yes. Okay. I think what I understood is all of us have maybe a little bit difference in the amount what you're going to get as interest or the time duration. That are the basic interest differences. But I think all the countries have a similar system of the instruments which we are talking about. Okay. So now I will come to the next part where we talk about the banking system in India. Okay. So we come to the banking system in India, or the banking, actually I should write structure. System is wrong. Structure in India. Now, see, that's why I said that it's good to compare with your country, because when we are doing the MBA from an Indian institute, naturally the focus will be on at least the business environment we talk about is in relation to India, although we will be talking about the international environment also in a later unit, and I will discuss at that point of time. So when we talk about the banking system in India, our apex bank is called the Reserve Bank of India. So which is your apex bank in your country?
Nigeria is Central Bank of Nigeria,
Central Bank of.
CBN.
Okay. And anybody else from any other country?
In Malawi, we have Reserve Bank of Malawi.
Okay. Yeah. So generally, the central bank can be named differently, but it is generally the apex bank of any country. So this is basically what we are talking about is the apex bank of any country. Now this is very interesting. I'll come back to it. Then you have something which is called as scheduled banks in India. So these banks have been nationalized, and these banks are the first category we talk about. And these banks are divided into two main categories. The first is your scheduled commercial banks and scheduled cooperative banks. So when we talk about scheduled commercial banks, basically we are talking about the public sector. We have four areas which we will just talk about briefly. I'm not going into too much details because I know all of you know the banking system, but I'm just putting it here. Yes, okay. Somebody else said South Sudan Central Bank. So generally Ghana Commercial Bank, a Bank of Uganda. So every country has an apex bank under whom the entire system of banking works. Okay, so here we will have the public sector bank in India. Okay, then we have private sector banks. After that comes the foreign banks, and last we have the regional rural banks. Okay, then under the public sector banks we have two categories. We have the nationalized banks, and we have something which is called as State Bank of India. Okay, so this is and associates, so all banks which are related to it. So if you see, this is the main banking system. After that, you have the private sector, foreign sector, and regional rural banks. Okay, so in India, this is the basic banking structure which is there, and the whole monetary system of India is governed by this banking system, and everything comes under RBI, that is the apex bank of India. So the public sector banks are the banks which are 100% run by the government. The private sector banks are the banks which we have, like in India we have ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, etc. Then foreign banks, of course, from all over the world, there is a banking system. And the last I will talk about is regional rural banks. I just want to know if you all also have this regional rural bank. Means banks which are established for the purpose of giving additional benefits to agriculture or to any sector of rural economy. So, in your banking system, do you have banks which are specifically targeted to rural areas or to agriculture?
Yes, in Nigeria we have,
We
but
have
Yes.
Bank of
but
Agri.
Which
we
one?
call them Bank of Agriculture.
Okay. So, do you have only specific to rural areas, or do you have different banks for agriculture and rural areas?
Actually, it's not only to rural areas, but we have
Okay.
the bank, and it's
Yeah,
mainly for agriculture.
it's mainly for agriculture. Okay. So, in India, you also have banks which look into rural development specifically. Okay. So, you might have a bank which is there totally. Okay. Yeah, Buhari, Mohammed Buhari says Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture. Yeah. So, basically, these banks, NBS Bank in Malawi. Okay. So, you'll find that. See, this is a very interesting thing. See, even if we are talking about two different countries, we're still, yeah, able to correlate our banking systems totally, because if you see, the structures are very similar. Now it might be a difference when we talk about a developed country. There you'll find that maybe private banks are more, and you do not have so many rural development banks. But our countries are common in that, because we have a lot of people who still stay in rural areas, who still work in agriculture, and there's a lot of requirement for loans over there, and they require easy loans. We cannot have the same uh, loan rates, interest rate for them that we have for other people. So yes, I think everybody is writing that you have a rural bank. So you'll find this is a characteristic which is common between countries also, and that helps us understand that the banking system generally follows the similar trend, that every single sector of the bank or different banks are looking into one particular area. So general banking system is common everywhere, but yes, where we are talking about developing countries, we definitely need to have good regional rural banks, because they help with agriculture, they help the farmers survive, they help in the development of any backward areas in our country. Okay, so I think that should be clear to, yes. We have one that is focused on agriculture and other sectors related to investments in rural areas. Okay, so I think I'm clear till this point to everybody. Yes. Okay, thank you. So
Yes,
after this,
it's
I think
clear.
these are very general portions. Thank you,
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
yes, ma. Yes,
Okay.
ma. Just that I need more clarification concerning the last segment, the two examples under the public sector banks. That is the nationalized and the SBI
Okay.
associate.
National, see what happened is, after we gained independence, after a certain time period, when we started with the strong banking system, some banks were nationalized. So they came under the government. Okay, earlier every bank was a private bank and was running differently, because till the time we were under the British rule, we did not have a strong, a strong structure. So what happened is, after independence, we wanted to make our banking structure very strong. So for that purpose, what we did was, when there were a lot of small banks which were in many places, we brought them together and it was nationalized. Means it was taken under the government. That is your nationalized bank. And State Bank of
So
India is a bank which is where, I should say, all our pensions, salaries, everything generally uh, is the government payments for most of the things comes through the State Bank of India. So that is our centralized, means it is our main bank. So that also comes
yeah,
under public sector bank.
yes,
Okay.
doctor. So I've seen here that the structure, it may differ from other
Yes.
countries. It means
Yes.
if you compare India, for
Yes,
example, with
it will be
Mozambique,
different,
I
because
think there's
uh,
yeah,
as I said, that the public sector banks are banks which are owned 100% by the government. They're not owned
yes,
by
yeah,
private individuals. So, as I said, like you had Imperial Bank, which was Bank of England or something. So these banks could not function after independence. So many of these banks come under nationalized banks. So
okay,
they were taken in and they were renamed, and they were put under the government systems. That's why they are public banks.
all right, thank you.
Okay. So now I come to what our RBI does. As an Apex bank, I will not come to so many functions, but just a few things I would like to talk about. So when we talk about RBI, as I said, it is the Apex bank. So it has full control on the complete banking system of our country. The second is, we say it is a note issuing authority. But in India, the 1 rupee notes and coins are not printed by the banking system. They are printed by the government of India. Okay, so I don't know whether the same system, because your currency is different. That's why I don't know whether it holds good. But in India, the coins and the 1 rupee notes are printed by the government of India. They are not. RBI is the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. It is our central bank. So the Reserve Bank of India is our main head bank. So it issues notes. So whatever denominations of notes are there, it is being issued over there. But the 1 rupee note that we have and the coins which are printed by the government of India. They are not printed by RBI. So this is a very special or different characteristic. That's why I wanted to mention this. Okay. Then third, we say it is the banker to the government. So whatever requirements are there, I think this function should be common everywhere, that it is the banker to the government. So whatever money is required by anybody else is taken care of by Reserve Bank of India. So the main work of Bank of India, even if we say that it is printing the money, it does it in collaboration with the in association with the government, because it can't just decide that, okay, I have to print so much money. What are the requirements? If additional money has to be printed, all is decided with the government. The last is something which I will talk about in details, that is regulator of monetary policy. I had touched about this yesterday also, when we were talking about inflation. But today I will just talk about all the instruments which are there in the monetary policy, because the monetary system, any country has two main systems. The one is the fiscal system or the fiscal policy, which is run by the government, and the second is the monetary policy, which is run by the Apex Bank. So these are the two important systems. So it's important to know. Yesterday also we were talking about the instruments, but I'll just spend a little bit more time explaining about the different instruments which are there in monetary policy. And generally, this is a very important question also, which is asked from the point of view of your exam. So that's why I'll just spend a little bit time. But I hope this much portion what we have talked about is clear about the banking structure of India. Is everybody clear till this point? Can I get some more response? Yes, thank you. Now I come to the instruments of monetary policy. So when we talk about the monetary policy, there are two very important areas that we take. The first is the quantitative methods, and the second are the qualitative methods. Okay. So I had talked about it in the last class, but here I am giving you a clear division of both of them, and how it is working is very important. So under quantitative method, the first method that we talk about is CRR and SLR. So CRR stands for cash reserve ratio, and SLR is statutory liquidity ratio. Okay, so these are the first two terms which we talk about when we are talking about quantitative methods. So what are these methods? I'll just explain in short. So suppose a customer A goes to the bank and deposits 100 rupees. Okay, so he's gone and deposited 100 rupees. Now what RBI says is that what a bank would like to do is, if he's got if the bank has 100 rupees, it would like to immediately invest this 100 rupees into the market so that they can get returns. But this is not a good way of functioning. There should always be some liquidity which is available with the bank. So what the bank says is that there are two rates that it has to keep in mind. The first is the CRR and the second is the SLR. So we say that there is a certain amount of money, that means suppose I say 10%, you have to keep with RBI. So if a person is depositing 100 rupees with you, 10 rupees will go to RBI. Okay, in the name of this particular commercial bank. So if it is one particular commercial bank and a customer has deposited 100 rupees, out of this 100 rupees, 10 rupees will go to RBI. Similarly, if you talk about SLR, we say again this is 10%. So SLR is the amount which the bank has to keep with itself. So 10 rupees it will keep with itself. So that is what. So sum total out of this 100 rupees, the bank can only give out 80 rupees. Is it clear? So out of 100 rupees, the entire 100 rupees cannot be invested into the market. You have to keep a certain portion, that is CRR and SLR, with the bank and with the RBI, and the rest of the money will be available for investing into any market. So that is how your market basically works. Now this is very important. Now suppose there is inflation in the market, and there is high degree of inflation. What are we going to do is, we don't want excess money supply going in the market. So what are we going to do? We will increase this to 20%. Now you have to keep 20 rupees with you, and we increase this also to 20%. So here 20 rupees you have to keep with you. Now available money in the market is only 60 rupees. So the investment is going down. People are not able to take easy loans. So so that is the problem which you find over here. So the moment we increase the SLR and CRR, these rates you will increase if there is inflation. And you will decrease if there is recession. So seeing the condition of the economy, you will decide how much money to increase or what is the percentage which is increased or decreased. And both these rates are decided by the RBI. So it is not the bank that decides that I will keep 10 rupees or 20 rupees. It is the Reserve Bank of India who will decide how much money has to be kept in cash. Okay. So I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay. I hope this concept
Yes,
is
ma'am.
clear. So this is quite
Yes, ma'am.
important for any bank, that how much money you need to keep with yourself. And you'll find what happens is, I'll just give you an example. Many times it happens that you go to the bank. Now, out of 100 rupees, the bank is only kept 10 rupees with itself. Okay. So suppose on a particular day, many more people come to the bank or go to the ATM. Sometimes because you have only kept that much money for a particular day, you might not have excess funds. It does not mean that there is no money with the bank. It just means that the rest of the money has been invested. But as customers, what happens is, if you go to an ATM and money does not come out, what will you think? Oh, there is some problem. Then you go to another ATM and money is not coming out. So after some time, there will be panic. You will tell your friends also that, I went to the bank and there is no money. So what will happen? It will create a lot of panic in the environment. That's why the banks are asked that they should keep SLR. They should keep a certain amount of money in cash to give out to the customers for their daily requirements. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Zafar. As I said, that it is very important. Every customer who comes, I want some money today. If I go to the bank, I should be able to withdraw. The bank can't tell me, oh, I have invested your money, I can't give you any money. So that is not a feasible option. That's why the bank always has to keep a certain percentage in cash with itself. Okay, and it has to keep a certain percentage in cash with RBI. So suppose suddenly there is some problem in the bank, then this additional fund, this CRR, which has been kept with the Reserve Bank of India, is released to the commercial bank for any kind of short-term problems that it might face. Okay. The second instrument that we have is called as bank rate. Bank rate is the rate at which the commercial banks can take loans from the Reserve Bank of India. So if the Reserve Bank of India is charging a high rate of interest, so suppose the commercial bank goes to RBI and says, I want one second. So suppose the RBI gives a loan to commercial bank at 10%. Now, naturally, the commercial bank will give this loan to another person only at 15%. Okay. So if the bank rate is high, then the person, if you go to the bank, you will have to pay a very high rate of interest. So when there is inflation, we will increase the bank rate. Okay. Similarly, if there is if it is only 5%, or suppose I say there is only 2% rate of interest which RBI is charging, then at 5% rate of interest you can give money to the borrower. So here what you have done is you have decreased the bank rate, and this is done when there is recession in the economy. Okay. So this is the second case that we take, that the rate at which commercial banks will get loans from the RBI is taken as bank rate. So during the COVID situation, you'll find that there was rapid reduction, few points they reduced, at least in our country, they reduced the bank rate so that more money was made available for everyone. Okay. Yeah. I think I answered your question, Zafar. Anything specific more you want to ask me? So this is the second instrument that we are talking about. Okay. The third is called as open market operations. Like we just spoke of treasury bills and all. So that comes under open market transactions, operations, you can say. Open market operations is buying and selling of securities. So in the open market, what you like to do is, suppose there's too much money in the market, you will sell securities so that the money comes back to the RBI. The moment the money in the market decreases, there will be lesser money supply, lesser demand, and inflation will come down. Similarly, if there is a situation in a country where there is depression, what do? The Reserve Bank will start buying these securities. So when the Reserve Bank is buying securities, money gets released into the market. So there is more money available for people to take. Easy loans are available for people to take, and that will increase the demand in the market, and we can come out of recession. So these are the key quantitative instruments which are used. Yes, Zafar, do you want me to repeat this? Can you just tell me?
Yes, ma.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat the three instruments? Okay.
Yes, ma. Especially on the SLR.
Okay. SLR is the amount of cash that the bank has to keep with itself. See, under RBI, I said what comes? Commercial banks, no? Okay, so generally we do not talk about the private or the foreign banks, because RBI can say that reduce the rate of interest and all, but it cannot dictate the private and the foreign banks. But commercial banks is like under RBI. So what it will happen is, all the money to commercial banks, the loans to different for commercial banks will come from RBI. So what RBI says is, you have to keep some money in cash with yourself, and that is your SLR. So how much money the bank has to keep in percentage of money which the bank has to keep with itself is called as SLR, statutory liquidity ratio. Okay, and what money it has to keep with what money it has to keep with the central bank is called the cash reserve ratio. So cash reserve ratio will be the amount of money which a person has to keep with the banking system, and SLR is the amount of money which the bank has to keep with itself. So these are two different rates that we talk about when we are talking about this. I'll just check what you're asking me. 1 second. Okay, is it clear now? So the second is bank rate, that is the rate at which the RBI gives loans to commercial banks. And the third is open market operations. The open market operations is buying and selling of different kind of securities. So we, as I told you, we talk about gilt-edged securities. Gilt-edged securities are the securities which have the highest weightage in a country, because they are considered gilt edged. Means what? It's a golden edge. So gold, it is as valuable as gold, is what we say. So this is where we talk about the thing. The bank rate is basically your repo rate. That is, it is generally the same, that it is the rate at which you are giving money to the commercial banks, and reverse repo rate is the rate at which the commercial banks are returning the money to RBI. So there is a certain rate of interest which is charged on both sides. So reverse repo rate is what the commercial banks will be giving back as an interest rate, and what the RBI is charging will be your repo rate. Okay, now we come to the second state, which is qualitative measures. Now qualitative measures are also very important. The first is margin requirements. Okay, what you mean by margin requirements is for everything you do not get equal amount of uh, loans. So there is a certain ceiling to the amount that you can take under a particular particular reason. For example, if you want a housing loan, the government might say that for the housing loan you are allowed to take 25 lakh rupees or $25,000. Okay, so I have put a ceiling on the maximum amount of money which you can take under a system. But it is possible for education, the government is only allowing maybe $2,000 or $5,000. So the amount that you're getting for a housing loan is much higher. The ceiling is much higher, whereas for education it is low. For buying a car, it might be even lower. So for different sectors and different requirements, there is a margin requirement, and that is the ceiling. Beyond that, even if you need, you cannot get a loan. Okay, so that is the margin requirement which the government fixes. And suppose if there is inflation, we will increase the reduce the margin requirements. Means we'll say that earlier I used to give 2 lakh rupees as loan for education, now I will only give 1 lakh rupees as loan. So we are not going to pay you more amount of loan, we are going to make the loan expensive for you, so that you easily can't take the loan in the country when there is inflation. Okay, so that is called as margin requirement. Second, we have credit rationing. Credit rationing means for a particular sector, we have decided the bank cannot give more than this amount, some total loan. So for example, for housing sector, suppose I say that in the housing sector, in the real estate sector, there is too much of demand. Means everybody wants to buy a house, and too much prices of the houses are going in. So what will I do? I will say that okay, now more than 25 lakh rupees the bank can't give for housing loans. So here the bank has you have decided that no, it can't be more money than this. Only this much money can go for housing loans. Now 5 people have come taken loans. So we'll say for this year there is no more amount left for housing loans. So I have put credit rationing. I have stopped the amount of money which is going for the loan. More than that money cannot go for that particular purpose. Okay, so credit rationing is according to purpose, you decide how much money can be allotted. Margin requirement is the upper limit to which one individual can take a particular loan. Okay, I hope this is clear. Then you have something which is called as moral suasion. Moral suasion is a place where if you go to any bank or if you see any advertisement, they will say save more, don't take loans, wait and watch, and don't waste your money. So what they do is they will put different kind of posters in the bank, and they will do advertisement for different things to guide you. Like they can say that don't share your password with anybody. So you get so many messages from the bank saying don't share your passcode, don't share this detail, save money, invest properly, take care of your finances. So these kind of things, now they are not asking you to compulsorily do any of these things, but they're just giving you advice on how you can do things little better. And that is what we call as moral suasion. Moral suasion generally deals with how we can manage things better, or how the bank thinks we should function. So that is taken as your moral suasion concept. And the last is direct action. So direct action is when the bank says, suppose suppose the RBI has said that you cannot charge more than 6% rate of interest. Means you cannot give more than 6% rate of interest. Now there's a commercial bank which says that I want to give 8% rate of interest. I want to give loans at 23%. Whereas RBI said, no, you cannot charge more than 10% as interest. So this particular bank is not following any of the directions which are given by the RBI. So the RBI will take direct control on this commercial bank, and it will have asked this bank to pay penalty. It will stop the funding to this bank. So that is taken as a direct action. That basically means that when the bank is not following the rules and regulations, there will be a penalty for that particular bank. That is called as direct action. Is this clear? So this is the monetary policy, and the monetary policy is used for regulating the money supply in the economy. It is used for regulating the inflation and deflation which is existing in an economy. So all the problems which are there in the economy, it is addressed through the money supply. Okay, not all the problems, but yes, monetary problems which arise, and prices are increasing, people are finding it difficult to buy certain things. So we try to regulate this. We can please be conscious of the word that I'm using, regulate it. We cannot control it. Like we cannot no bank can come to your house and say that you have to save 2000 rupees per month. There's no bank which can say. They will say increase your savings, but they cannot come and say that you have to do this. This have to thing is not possible under the banking system. That's why they will try to persuade customers, persuade people to take lesser loans, to take to save money, to invest more. All this is requested, and they are asked to do all these things. So this kind of system is prevalent in the monetary policy. And every sorry, my internet had gone off. I There was a power cut, so I hope you can hear me now. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes, just give me 1 minute. I will share the screen. Is everybody clear on this area that we discussed? So that is all about the monetary policy. Now, as I told you earlier, this is a very, very important question. So please keep this in mind when you're studying and star market, because a lot of questions generally are asked whenever we talk about the the banking system of any country. They will generally tend to ask you what is monetary policy and what are the important instruments of monetary policy. So this becomes a very, very important sector. Now, the last area which I'll cover for today is the structure of the capital market. As I said, I'll leave you a little early. So I'll just talk about the structure of the capital market now. So when we talk about the capital market, we are talking about different things. Now, capital market is basically the market where long-term investments is what we are planning to do. Okay, so it is the kind of market which will generate funds or bring about revenue, which is for a much longer period of time. Credit rationing, okay, Isaac. Credit rationing is when we ration the amount of money which we put for a particular use. So, for example, I'll just give you an example here. Now, there are different sectors. So, the bank has 50,000 rupees, suppose we say. Okay. So, it has got 50,000 rupees. Out of that, for education, the bank says, if anybody comes for loan, I will give 10,000 rupees. So if one person is coming, A person, I will give him 5,000 rupees. B person is coming, I can give him maybe 2,000 rupees. So I've decided maximum amount of money which I can give in the education system is 10,000. Similarly, I can say for agriculture, I will give 20,000 rupees. So what I'm doing is every purpose I have decided, the bank has decided how much money should be given. So here I say housing, I will give 20,000 rupees. So like this, I have decided for every sector. This decision has been made by the bank. So that is the credit rationing. The RBI will tell you that only 10% of the money you have can be given for education. 20% of the money can be given for housing. 8% of the money can be given for any other purpose, okay, buying things, or so you can decide. So this kind of thing will be there under credit rationing. I hope that is clear. I hope that point is clear now. Okay. So
Clear now, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So now we come to the capital market. Under capital market, first we should talk about the markets. Now, under markets, we have two things. We have the primary market. Now, what is a primary market? A primary market is a place where there is, it is also called as a new issue market, because here we are going to talk about the issue of new new stocks, new bonds for the first time. Okay. So whatever is issued in the market for the first time, which is introduced at face value of 10 rupees per share, will come under primary market. The second that you have over here is the secondary market, which is your, we should say, the stock market. So in the stock market, what you do is whatever is there, you are going to sell it, again sell it, again sell it. So as the company starts making profit and growing, there is more and more demand for a particular company's stocks. So everybody wants to buy it, so the stock prices will keep on increasing. And what is happening here, people are selling it, again buying it, again selling it, again buying it. So this is called as the secondary market, and this will be the stock market of any country. Sorry, I don't know why. It's been a very warm day here, so we're very thirsty. So the second thing that you have over here is the instruments. Okay. The second category will be the instruments, financial instruments. Okay. So under financial instruments, three main instruments are the stocks, the bonds, and the debentures. Okay. So what is a, can any of you just tell me in one line what these three are? I know many of you have worked in different sectors, and probably you can. Uh, Primary sector is the place where you introduce your issues for the first time. Okay, so here the stocks and bonds that, suppose it's a new company, it has entered the market for the first time. So I have opened a company now. So what I want to do, I have opened a joint stock company. So I will bring my shares into the market for the first time. It is being sold for the first time, then it is called as a primary market. After it is sold, many people have bought it. Now when my company is doing well, you will see that people will again sell it, again buy it. That is taken as your secondary market. Okay, so the instruments that you have in the capital market are stocks, bonds, and debentures. Yeah, any of you can just give me a basic definition of these three, or the meaning of these three? Yes, Mike, I can see your hand raised.
Yes, ma'am, I can try.
Yes, please tell me.
These three are always used for long-term investments by any
Okay.
organization.
Yes.
At times they are called long-term liabilities, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
what
what
is
I
the
can.
difference between the three? What is the difference between a share, a bond, and a debenture? Anyone? What is the difference between a share, a bond, and a debenture? Yes, please tell me.
Okay, ma. Okay, ma.
Yeah.
Ma,
Yes,
stocks
Deepak?
are
Yes.
okay. Stocks are those commodities or items or financial instrument that you usually bring in and out. That's the one that you sell and you also restock them. You take them out, you bring them.
Hmm.
That's what you call.
So, see, the stocks that we talk about, the important part about stocks is ownership. Okay, they give you ownership of the company. So, if I say that I own 10 shares of a company, I become means that part of the company belongs to me. It's not that everything can be decided by me, but out of that 10,000 shares, I own 5 shares, means I am the owner. That much percentage of the company is mine. So basically, whenever we talk about shares, we talk about the ownership. Okay, so that is what makes shares different. So buying and selling of shares is basically concerned by gaining ownership of a particular company. So you'll find that many times they will say that you're not allowed to take buy more than 51% of the shares of a company, because what happens is, if you manage to slowly buy for a particular company, you are buying and buying and buying and buying, and you manage to get 51% of the share, you start owning the company. So people are very careful with the shares, because shares talk about the ownership which a person can have for the company. Whereas when we talk about bonds, what happens is, bonds are given by the state government and the central government, and the purpose of these are to get funding for different projects. So they can be for a definite period of time. So suppose you say, let me think of an example. Um, for a particular project, the government says that we are going to bring out bonds. So bonds will be like all the other papers that we had talked about, something on the similar lines, but there it is borrowing and lending money. Here it is that for a particular project, you have invested your money. So any government project where the government needs a certain sum of money, you will give a certain sum of money, and you will get this bond. Okay. Now this bond says that you are going to get 5% rate of interest for the next 5 years. Okay, so that is what we talk about as a bond. Here you do not own the project, you are no part of the organization of the project. So it is very different, because bond is just that you are giving money, and if the company is if it is like for shares, what happens if the company is doing well, your shares will increase, you'll get better and better returns. But bonds will be generally giving you a, they might have variable interest rates also, depending on the bond that you buy. So some will be time deposit bonds. That means they will say that there's a fixed rate of interest, but there will also be variable fixed deposit bonds, means depending on the market your rate of interest will change. So you might have variable, or you might also have fixed rate bonds which you buy. But in bonds you do not have any ownership of the company. That is a very, very important thing. Now we come to the third one, that what actually do we mean by yeah, generally you can say it's not only it's you can say that's a correct perspective, Sifo. But only thing is that this borrowing is for a particular project. It is not a general borrowing. It's not that you are buying a commercial bill, or you're buying a treasury bill, or you're buying a promissory note. Not like that. Here the borrowing is for a particular project, or with a particular motive in mind. Okay, so if you have a bond, it is for a particular project. It is not for all things that the government is doing. So the bond will be linked to a particular kind of project at the end of the day. Okay, the third is debentures. Now debentures are also issued by companies, but debentures are generally with generally a better rate of interest than bonds. We know that government, anything the government is taking will not give you a very high rate of interest. Okay, so debentures are instruments, again, for a particular project which a company has, but the returns that you are getting from a debenture will be much higher than a bond. But nothing as compared to a share, because share gives you an ownership. That's why we say it is linked to risks. So if the company goes down, your share will go down. Okay, you will not get any money. But this generally does not happen with a bond or a debenture. Here your returns are to a extent guaranteed, means you will definitely get some money. Okay, but under shares, if the company is not doing well, if the company has a loss, then you are part of the company, you own part of the company, you are also in loss. So it doesn't happen that the company is making losses and you are making profits, because if you are the owner, naturally if the company is making loss, you are also making loss. If the company is making profit, you are also making profit. So shares become something where there is very high ownership, and that's why people are very careful about investing in shares. Whereas when we talk about bonds and debentures, they are much more safer. The returns that you get from debentures will comparatively be higher than bonds. And both of these are linked to different projects, so they're not general things. They're always linked to different projects. Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Thank you. This is Mike from Uganda.
Yeah, tell me.
Now, I have understood all these terms very well, the way you have explained, but I want to inquire something. For example, if we compare Russia and Ukraine,
Hmm.
assuming that the government was issuing bonds, and
Hmm.
many people took those bonds and they fixed their monies there, and they were
Hmm.
expecting a return maybe by last
Hmm.
year when the war started.
Hmm.
But now, when the war started now, how will those guys get their money, their bonds? How will they be able to get their interest, maybe 5%? What happens to the economy? in such a
See,
situation?
Mike, that's a very good question also. Actually, what happens is whenever there's a condition of emergency, whatever is in general ruling no longer is considered. Okay, so whenever there is declaration of emergency in a country, whenever there is declaration of war in a country, then we will not be following the general rulings which is there. So everything is suspended during an emergency time. So naturally, the people, whether it is the bonds, whether it's the shares, or whether it is the debentures in these countries, will actually be losing out very badly currently. Only when country becomes stable again, it has a stable government, and things start functioning normally, will the government be able to satisfy the requirements of the country. Otherwise, it will not be able to fulfill the promises. Okay, so whenever there are emergency conditions, at that point of time, the government will automatically say that nothing is possible, so everybody loses their money during an emergency period. Okay. So, okay. Now I'll come to the third part because there are two more parts and I want to just finish this. And as I said, I want to leave you a little early. So, the third part is again a very important part where we talk about intermediaries. Intermediaries are the middlemen who work in the capital market. Like, if you see, everybody doesn't directly go into the market and work. So you have people who you need who will do things for you. So first people who will work for you are the merchant bankers. So these people, the merchant bankers, are basically the ones who lie between the investors and the company, and they will advise the investors, they will advise the companies about what you should do, what are the kind of shares you should buy, what exactly will give you more returns, is what you will try to find out from the merchant bankers. The second are underwriters. So underwriters is means like I said, if I've opened a company today, I cannot just go into the market and say, oh, I'm selling shares. So there has to be a guarantee which is underwritten. So the guarantees which somebody takes for me. So for example, if there's somebody who knows me, they'll say that, oh, Jhumur is a nice person, you can trust her, you can believe that she will give you your money back and she will give you good returns. That is the person. So that person says, oh, I'm willing to sign for her, so I'm willing to take guarantee for her because I've known her for last 10 years. So that is the work of the underwriter, that underwriters take a sort of guarantee of the company and they say that don't worry about this company, this is a good company and you can trust that company. So that is a very important thing. Many times we want to see who are the underwriters. Depending on the underwriters, we will have to decide whether the company is doing well or not doing well. Okay. Then after that, you have nowadays very important portfolio managers. Who are the portfolio managers? The portfolio managers are generally the people who will put in your money in different stock exchanges. Like I said, that suppose here, it's very important to understand the age of different individuals also. So suppose somebody is very young and just starting with work. So if you go to a portfolio management company, they will say, you can invest in everything, take high risk, you'll get very rapid returns. It doesn't matter if a problem arises. You are young, so much life is in front of you. Take risks. So many times at a younger age, people will put their investments in high risks. But suppose you are about to retire, you are near the retiring age. At that time, what do you want? You want stability, you want constant returns. So you will say, no, I don't want very high risk, I just want those companies to invest in where I am getting a good rate of investment. I should get a good rate of investment, but I don't want very high rate of risk and very high rate of investment. I just want some good money to come back to me. So when my portfolio is managed, they will consider that these are the companies where returns are guaranteed, the amount of risk that I talk about is less. So that will be under portfolio management. And the last is the stock brokers. Okay, so nowadays, of course, things have changed. I will come to the questions. Just give me 2 minutes. Let me just finish this portion. So, what happens under stockbrokers is that there will be people who will be investing for you. But nowadays, what has happened is because there is so much technology, many of us do trading on our own. So, there are different apps which are there, and on these different apps, you can easily link in. You can say how much money you want to invest and how much returns you want. So, you can get your returns and you can buy and sell immediately. But many people always like to go through stockbrokers. So they might say that, I am willing to invest 1 lakh rupees and I want a return of maybe 1,50,000 rupees. Now, which stocks to buy and when to sell, you decide. But the return I'm looking for should be around this much. So these are the different people who act as intermediaries. The last is the regulator. Now, who takes care of the entire system is the regulator, and that in India is SEBI. That is Security and Exchange Board of India. So, if there is some scam, if there is any problem, if there is any mismanagement, it is looked into by SEBI. So, this is basically the capital market structure of India. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now I can come to the questions. Yes, Shifo, you have a question?
Yes, I've got two questions. I think
Yes.
there are these people who are called
The intermediaries. Okay.
capital venturists, and the hedge fund managers.
Yes.
Where can we place
That
these
will
ones in
also
the?
come under intermediaries only. See, anything that you're going through people means there are two ways of doing. See, earlier, this is generally the more traditional structure, capital structure that I'm talking about. As it happens in today's date, many of the people all over the world are doing most of the trading themselves. So they do not need intermediaries. But people who are investing on a regular basis will look into intermediaries. They will want people to look after their funding. That's why you have these people who do wealth management. So these people who are in charge of wealth management, etc., will look into your entire portfolio. They will not look into one sector. They will look into every single thing. So they will tell you, okay, let me invest this much money in stocks, let me put this much money in mutual funds, let me put this much money in hedge funds, let me put this much money in Bitcoin currency or cryptocurrency. So all of these will be managed by these portfolio managers or wealth managers. Nowadays, they call themselves wealth managers rather than portfolio managers. So these people will actually be looking into all the aspects of your money. So you are not directly dealing with that, somebody else is helping you do. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any other questions?
Yes, Doc.
Yes, tell me.
Well done, Doc. I just need more clarification on this underwriter
On.
vis-a-vis stockbrokers. Yeah, underwriter and stockbrokers.
Yes. See, stockbrokers are people who do the buying and sellings of stocks. So, what happens is, like in India, earlier we used to have the stock exchange market. Now it has become more convenient after digitalization. But if you see any of the old images, try to Google and see an old image of Indian stock market. It is very interesting to look at, and you cannot believe the amount of crowd and shouting and screaming which grows on to buy one stock on share. So these stockbrokers people will be telling them that I want to put money on this and that, and they go to this. There are certain timings when they go to the stock exchange, and they literally scream out and buy and sell the stocks in the market for all the people who they are investing for. So they are called as the stockbrokers. But nowadays, because it is online, it has become much more simpler and easier to do. That's why I said that much of this business, many people have started doing on their own. Earlier, it used to be completely through intermediaries. You will never go to the stock exchange and do different things, but they will do it for you. But today's date, because of different apps and because of different things, you will find that people are actually doing a lot of the work of the intermediaries on their own, so they don't have to pay the fees to any other person. They get the all the money, and all the profits are coming to them. Because if you're going through an intermediary, there is a certain amount of money which you will have to pay as fees. But if you're going directly through an app, so probably whatever is the earning or income you're getting is going to directly come to you. So that is the benefit. So in the traditional system, but even now, if you see many people, when they want every their proper salary from whatever they from the salary, whatever they're able to save to be invested properly, they generally go through wealth management firms. At least in India, the wealth management firms are really coming up, and they're very important, and they do all these kind of investments, whether it is stocks, whether it is bonds, whether it is debentures, whether you talk about mutual funds, everything. They will be creating a portfolio and investing. So some funds they will put in different areas. So if suppose you want to invest uh, $1 lakh, they will say, okay, $20,000 will go to mutual funds, $10,000 will go to stocks, this much amount will go here, this much amount I will buy, invest in those commercial papers, this is what I will have certificate of deposit. So they'll create a complete package for you, from which you will get the best returns. So those kind of people in India nowadays have become the wealth management firm. Okay, so that's a very interesting. They're no longer they're managing all the money that you have, and they do a pretty good job. So generally, you don't have to bother about anything, and your money is growing. The economy is growing because there's more investment, there's more saving, and a lot of positives are there. Okay, so I think that is all for today, and I'll continue with the last part in tomorrow's next part, not last part, but the next part in tomorrow's class. Okay, so I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you. I hope everything I have taught till now from day one is clear, uh, and you're able to understand once you're reading up the thing. I'm not diverting too much from the syllabus, because I just want you all to understand the key concepts. That's why I'm concentrating only on the areas which are there.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Good night.
Okay. Thank you.